Alright guys, a brand new fighting game just dropped, and it's not just any fighting game. It's one based off of one of the most brutal and unpredictable superhero universes right now, Invincible Versus. And on paper, this game really sounds like it should be a guaranteed hit, because you've got things like insane, over-the-top violence in the game, fast-paced 3v3 tag mechanics, and a style that clearly takes inspiration from some of the best fighting games ever, along with a recognizable franchise and IP, because this game is sort of like a mix of Marvel vs. Capcom and its chaosity with the raw brutality of, say, Mortal Kombat. So naturally, when people saw this game announced, there was a lot of hype. I mean, like, real hype. But here's the thing, a good concept doesn't always translate into a good game, and a fun fighting system doesn't always mean people will stick around for the long run. So after looking at the early reviews, community reactions, and how the game actually plays over time along with my personal opinion, I want to answer the real question. Is Invincible Versus actually worth playing, or is it just another fighting game that looks better than it feels? But before we get into that, if you guys don't know me by now, I'm Mr. Frosty Flames, but you can call me Mike. We do anything gaming news, analysis, reviews, playthroughs, etc, etc, and we do it in a chill way with no over editing BS, just raw opinions from me, myself. If you guys like that style of video, make sure you hit that sub button and join the Frosty Flames Legion. We're closing in on 1700 subs, so I'd really appreciate it if you help me along this journey. Anyways, back to the video. If you haven't seen my first impressions video, you don't have to watch it, but I want to start with the most important thing that I said in that video and to translate onto this video, and that's the gameplay, because this is what this game gets right. Because if this part fails, nothing else matters. Now, to be fair, Invincible Versus actually does get this right. The core combat system is built around sort of like a 3v3 tag format. If you played Marvel vs. Capcom, especially Marvel vs. Capcom 3, you'll be instantly familiar with it, which means you could like switch characters mid-combo, extend pressure in creative ways, you know, calling in your fighter to attack and then leave, or attack and stay, you know, switching fighters and build team synergy. And when it works, it really feels good. Fights are fast, there's constant movements, there's a lot of variation that you could do. You're not just waiting your turn, you're actively engaged this whole time and the whole fight. And that's something a lot of modern fighting games struggle with. Reviews and players both agree on this point, you know, the gameplay is fun, it's responsive, and it's easy to pick up. But this is what makes it more interesting, that it's super easy to learn. Like, if you play this game, you'll notice instantly how easy it is to learn. It's like the game is modern controls from Street Fighter. And if you like that, it's going to be based off of opinions, because sometimes a lot of people don't like the easy inputs because they think it takes away from true skill of actually inputting a special move or something, whereas in this game the specials are one button specials. It should be 3 on the default mapping. However, you know, it's an opinion based. Some people like it, they say it's more accessible, and I'll get into that later. But regardless, this has a lot of room to grow, which is exactly what you want in a fighting game. Something accessible at first, but with enough depth to keep you invested. Now, I want to talk about the presentation and style too, because again, I talked about this in my first impressions video, and this is where the game really shines and separates itself from other fighters. Because Invincible Versus doesn't just look like the show, it really feels like it. The game fully commits to the tone of the Invincible universe. We're talking things like brutal, over-the-top finishers, heavy hits that actually feel impactful, and cinematic moments that don't really hold back. And that matters more than people think, because a lot of licensed games and licensed material feel disconnected from their source material. This doesn't. When you land a big hit in this game, it feels like something from the show. And visually, the blend between comic book style and modern 3D works really well, because the characters pop really good, animations are expressive, and overall, the game has strong identity. I also want to spend some time talking about the roster, because this is always a make it or break it factor when it comes to fighting games, at least in my opinion. At launch, the game gives you a solid lineup of a lot of recognizable characters like Omni-Man, Invincible, Battle Beast, Adam Eve, and they're not just skins of each other, because each character has distinct abilities, different pacing, and unique playstyles. Even when you're hovering over a character in the select screen, it'll show you what this character is meant to be played like, which is important, because in a tag fighter, variety is everything. If characters feel the same, the whole system will fall apart. Now, is the roster massive? No, it's not, but it's built with a strong foundation, and with DLC already expected, there's clear room to expand. I think they have like 18 characters at launch and more coming. But unfortunately now, we have to get to the part where opinions start to shift. because when you get past the gameplay and the amazing visuals, you start to notice something. There's not a lot holding everything together, and this is where most of the criticism comes from. Not the fighting, not the style, but everything around it. And this is the biggest issue with the game right now, in my opinion, and that's content, and more specifically, the lack of it. Because once you've played a handful of matches, you start asking, what else is there? And the real answer is, there's not much, because you have like a 2-hour story mode. Arcade mode is pretty basic, you know, you go through a couple fights and then you just get an ending. There's only so many times you could do that before getting bored, and that's about it, because there aren't any more extra modes. There's basically the default online and couch co-op, but that's it, because even though the gameplay is solid, there's no real structure keeping you engaged long term, and that's a huge problem in 2026, especially when competing with games like Tekken and all these other massive fighting games with a lot of side content. You know, Mortal Kombat needs to take notes because they're suffering from the same thing. Because fighting games today need progression systems, you need unlockables that are actually worth coming back to. And without that, players start to drift away. Now I want to talk about community reactions too, and not just my opinion, because this isn't just critics saying it, it's also the community picking up on it too. A lot of players are saying the same thing. You know, this game is fun, but it just feels like there's a lot missing. And that but is important because it shows that the game is close, really close, because people like the combat, the speed, the concept, but they're also noticing missing features, a lack of polish in certain areas, limited long-term content. So this creates a weird situation where you kind of enjoy playing it, but you're not sure how long you'll stick to it. And then again, this game is $50, so I guess that could justify the, you know, lack of content. However, if you're gonna spend like $20 more for a better game, you know, you're gonna pay a full price game $70 for a full price fighting game, what are people gonna play? They're gonna buy that one instead because it's just $20 more. However, you know, this game is still fun and it caters to the Invincible fan base, but there isn't really much that is gonna keep them playing this game for long, because the longevity is the real test. Because games right now, especially fighting games, don't succeed based on a launch week. It succeeds based off of player retention, updates, and community growth. And right now, that's the biggest question mark for Invincible Versus. Will it get constant updates, new consistent characters, or new modes? Or will it just stay in this fun but limited state? Because if nothing changes, this game risks fading out quickly. So in the end, let's answer the main question. Is it worth playing? My honest answer is yes, but it does depend. If you enjoy fast-paced fighting games or like tag mechanics, or if you're just a super mega Invincible fan, I believe you'll have fun, no doubt in my mind. But if you're an FGC, you know, mega fan, and you're looking for a deep, content-heavy experience, something to grind long-term, or just a fully polished package, you might feel like something's missing. Because this game represents something bigger, you know, it's a new fighting IP, and those are rare. So even though it's not perfect, it's important because the foundation is really strong. The gameplay works, the identity is clear, and what's missing could be added. So if you're willing to wait, you know, it could get better in the future, and I believe it will. Right now, Invincible Versus feels like a game that's almost there. It's not bad, it's not amazing, it's just incomplete right now. So yes, Invincible Versus is worth playing, but if you go in with the right expectations. Enjoy it for what it is right now, not what it could be later. Because this doesn't feel like a finished product, it feels like a starting point for the series, and whether this game succeeds or not depends entirely on what happens next. But that's just my take on it. Let me know down in the comments below, did you buy Invincible Versus? Are you playing it? And do you like it or not? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe and join the Frosty Flames Legion. You like the video, comment, and you share. Thank you all for watching. Mr. Frosty Flames out. Ciao.